Hey, morning guys, Terrence. Welcome to the channel. This morning, I just wanted to cover Fever Mystic Scouting Report, right? Kind of go over the playoff standings a little bit and maybe what we can do to, pull off a win. While we wait on CC to rehab and get back into game shape, we gotta win some games. Down the stretch here, there's not a lot of games left. So, yeah, every one of them counts, Which, of course, is why early in the season, it's always beneficial to try to stack those wins. So late in the season, you're not always pressing to squeeze in a few, right? Well, as the standings are right now, we got the Lynx in first, Dream in second, Liberty in third, Mercury in fourth, Vegas fifth, Indiana is in sixth, and then you got the Valkyries and Seattle Storm taking the seventh and eighth place. Of course, the Sparks are right behind the Storm at 9 with the same record as the Storm. So, yeah, the difference in fifth and ninth is 3 games, and the difference between third and where we're at right now is just 2 games, and then of course tie break from there. But the way I'm just going to throw an early projection out there, right? And that is that the Lynx will end up staying at 1. The Dream will stay at 2. Got the Aces are actually starting to play well together. It's obviously the best time of the season to for the chemistry to start and everything to start kind of coming together and playing your best ball, and they seem to be doing that. So I got the Aces at 3, Liberty at 4, and there's a few is a kind of a toss-up, I guess. I got the Mercury at 5. I've actually got the Storm, being they picked up Brittany Sykes, making a kind of a late move here to slide up into the 6th slot. Valkyries at 7, and the Sparks at 8. Valks Indy, I think, will be the key. The 7th and 8th slot or seed is ultimately, there again, just my thoughts, on how to play out. We'll see. Valkyries are still playing good. I say good, but first year franchise and they're above 500. It's not really normal. But having said that, I'll go over the scouting report for Washington. The things we have to do. Obviously, it's always gonna be 1, 2, 3 things that will never change. That is keeping them off the offensive glass. So when they miss the threes, we gotta get those. And our best offense obviously is getting down, keeping the pace up, getting down the court, off those offensive rebounds, or defensive rebounds. When keeping them off the offensive glass. And then, of course, us getting more second, third, fourth putback opportunities, and it's tough to do. Everything, that I say or anybody says may sound simple. In theory, it is, I guess. But, when it comes down to execution, it's altogether something different. All depends on every player, every night. Okay, Washington, defensively, right? They like to play, kind of a high man pressure defense. So actually, that kind of falls into what we prefer not to see, which would be, ball pressure on what we should have and a true point guard that we don't actually have. Somebody can see the whole court, so when they blitz them or whatever else is they might want to try to do, we can do something about it and get them out of it. It's just like everybody's taught from a young age. You're going to get somebody out of a 2-3 zone, knock down a few threes. Simplest example I can use. And of course, when I talk about us using any type of half-court zone defense, right? You got to understand, of course, we're not talking about middle school variety zone defenses, and at the professional level, the rotations should be as such that we shouldn't have any open passing lanes for them. Should be nowhere for them to go with the ball. And of course, anytime with any of the defenses, the idea is to, yes, you'd like to, as let's just say the high defender, you'd like to push them to one side of the court or the other that favors you the most. What I prefer to see is it doesn't matter. Let them pick which side they want to go, and then keep them on that half, 2/3 of the court. Don't let the ball get back over on the other side, because now everybody's swinging back over, and then a couple of quick passes, and all of a sudden things are kind of messed up. A little chaos on the defensive end, which we don't need. Nor do we need it on the offensive end. So the more we can could execute things like that, and like I say, with offensive rebounds, keep our pace up, even on inbounds, things like that, and getting down the court, making them run. Of course, the Mystics are young, so their players have the energy to run. Their coach will play deep if he has to. At present we've got 10 healthy players. Whether Kyra plays tonight or not, she said Monday on the media availability the other day is what they were hoping for. But I think if you need a ball handler, I think Sims is a good sub, and for Kelsey Mitchell to give her a breather. As far as putting somebody out there, it's a little more like a true point guard, then Kyra is going to be the person you want to go to. Having said all that, right, is sometimes the Mystics will disguise, man for, kind of a trapping 2-3 zone, or just throw out like they're going to play a 2-3 zone and just switch that into man. It's a lot like NFL, and trying to fool or trick your, the quarterbacks into thinking, it's going to be too high safety, and then they, bail, and fill the gaps, in the middle of the field, which should have been open, now they're not. But, I think this is me, I think, that we should see, or at least try, is more of a 1-3-1 type of trapping half-court defense. Clogs the paint, gets you two, real wide wing players, no matter if it's straight across free throw line or the baseline, they're close enough to close out, or trapping the corners. Now, some a couple of other that I may mention. May sound a little crazy, like say at the professional level, but at this point we're kind of stuck with trying to make what we have work, and these are ways obviously that these things and what we want to do scoring wise and defensively can work, right? Because like I say, it's whether it's a 2-3, 1-3-1 man, weak side man, lax man, they may call it sometimes, which would just be playing off on the weak side. There's nothing anybody's going to do, like say today, tomorrow, or 100 years from now that they didn't do, somebody hadn't done 100 years ago. So, nothing should really be a surprise to anybody, and they should have an answer for, most of those things. But there again, that goes to, we had all of us, I thought, a fair discussion last night at courtsides, debate and kind of talking, and, it's like I've said, I don't think any season is worth, if you have an opportunity to make the playoffs in the first place, and then, potential chances to advance, which they do. Like I say, nobody has said necessarily that, top to bottom, we don't have, on paper, and matchups and whatnot, we may look, like the better team. It's just, executing on game days and, doing what we have to do to get the win. Now, that said, there's a lot of times I may see things, and you guys do too, on, Coach White and her staff, right? And I'm one of those people that is usually on her pretty good, I usually stay on her pretty good about how, not so good some things were, or that they tried to do, yada, yada. But that said, everything is 2020 or better, looking at it the day after, or even after the game, or during the game. I ain't working. Like I say, the coach, when they want to talk about other teams, 21-3 run, or 18-2 run, or whatever it may have been, those are all things as a coach that you can do during the game, even though, no, you can't go out on the court and play. But, there are things, a lot of things that a coach can do during the course of a game that will obviously affect the outcome. And one of those things is calling a timeout instead of letting you get the 18-2 run or 21-3. Call a timeout shit at 8 or 6, 5. You know what I mean? You got all those timeouts. It ain't single or wireless, and there ain't no rollover minutes. You can't take them home or to the next game. So, use them all. Both halves of the game, right? It's not 5 for the whole game. So use them all. Anyway, so what did I have here? Oh, I said the 1-3-1, right? So, maybe even a version of 1-2-2, less like, a boxing one, which, that'd be like, that'd be really low. And of course, against a good three-point shooting team, would be dumb if they don't play it right. So it would have to be, all of that will be more a professional level 1-2-2, kind of a traditional, more of a traditional 1-2-2, moved up a little higher away from the boxes to obviously, get pressure and traps on the guards, ball on that side of the floor, and keep your Sonya Citrons and the likes of them, from knocking down 10 threes in the game. Now, the last zone defense that I wanted to like I say, I'm always obviously just throwing ideas out there, right? It's because, if you're always just throwing out a 2-3, or, last time looked like they, wanted to run or tried to run a 3-2, but it looked like a flat ass 3-2. And that can't happen. Because it's flat across the free throw line. Now if you're going to have the two wings play up, now you're more of a 2-1-2, manageable. But, you got Kiki in the paint. So, we got to clog the paint and protect 3 points. So, they got threats everywhere. They're not a bad team. Not as bad as maybe their record may, indicate. They're playing better ball now, but one of the, I'll just note one more variety zone, defense is a, more 1-1-3 matchup zone defense, and I won't get into too much detail on the matchup portion of, the 1-1-3, but obviously, that would be your first one, picking up ball at half court as soon as they cross half court line, and then you go from there. But let me look at my note. I just had noted, the goal on any of those obviously is to exploit their weaknesses. So having watched the film, they know, the Fever know what those are. I've seen the film, I know what those are. I'm not gonna, break that down right now. But exploit the weaknesses and force them to make mistakes and turn the ball over. There again, that's just something, we've said, along with the other things I said in the beginning, is create or force turnovers. It's just what we got to do. But as far as Steph and the offense, the defense, the rotation, like I said, we've got 10, Timpson and Turner, so we might as well say we have 8. Because, she rarely plays 9. So best case, for the most part, we're going to run 7 or 8 players. I'm trying to think. With Ed and Kyra, might put us at 11. Yeah, the 10th player hardship was Sims, should have been. And then 7-day standard was Kyra Lambert. So, and we'll see. Like I said, it's just 7-day, contract. You guys know how that goes. 7 days. We'll be here and be gone. So, we'll see how she does. I watched a little bit of film of her, and then of course, we all could have seen some of the practices that the Fever had, and she looked pretty, pretty smooth in what I saw. So hope for the best. I'm not gonna say expect the worst. Tonight, like I say, I would never say, we can't win. There's no, well, I take it back. We kind of did against the Mercury at Phoenix and this past game. Don't know exactly, couldn't put my finger on what reason, if there was just one, that I thought the Wings were gonna pull that one out, but that ended up happening. I don't like it sometimes when I'm right when I say that, but like I say, I'm always just gonna call it like I see it, and even being a Fever and a CC fan, I'm still gonna call it like I see it, and the way it is, whether it's